I planted my Paulownia between July and September last year. I did think that September was probably a bit late on in the year for planting them, but they've all survived. Even those that succumbed to the lawnmower, maybe just, well, hopefully you'll be able to make out centre shot there, the stub of this one, a Shantong. Believe me, it does have some signs of new growth on it. Possibly, yeah, you'll definitely see on that one a green shoot coming up. Anyways, I decided that I would plant afresh next door, the three that did succumb to the lawnmower. The Paulownia and the polytunnels have been putting out really good new growth now for 4 to 6 weeks. Those outside, I started noticing new growth about 2 weeks ago, and since then the growth has been rapid. These are tomentosa in this first row, and as I say, these have gone from just tiny little showings of green growth to some of these 30 centimetres tall. Interesting colour schemes on some of these leaves and an interesting growth pattern, though I have researched online and this doesn't seem to be unusual. So just having a look at the one at the end here, quite remarkable, but it's now starting to open up. I've been keeping an eye on this one and green growth is starting to appear. Last year I thought that Nord Max was going to be the absolute best one, and this was the best of the Nord Max, and it's certainly coming out with good vigorous growth. And the growth of these Nord Max and the polytunnel has just been astonishing. I plugged these up in April, beginning of April, so less than 6 weeks, from seedlings that were 2 centimetres tall perhaps, and the best of them now 60 centimetres tall. So if you extrapolate that out, say Paulownia grow for 6 months of the year, they are deciduous, so 6 times 60 centimetres, 3.6 metres. Fabulously healthy root plugs and foliage growth. Though perhaps dialing down expectations a bit, what I am noticing is that all of my plantation are, all bar one, have sprouted from the roots rather than from the stem, and I really don't have an explanation for that. So in the first row here we have Paulownia, and there's a small one there. As you can see, plenty of good vigorous growth, but it's all from the roots. Perhaps these were planted just a bit late in the year and they didn't have the stems didn't have enough time to mature, but as I say, I don't have an explanation for that. These are Nord Max and they've all so far just grown from the roots. Shantong, again growing from the roots. This tomentosa is the only one outside of the polytunnels which has put out growth from the stems, and the stem is quite thick. As I say though, I just really don't have an explanation for it, because if it was something to do with shelter, then most of last year's stock in the polytunnel is doing the same, and the direction there is northwest, so it's had the full blast of all the winter gales, including Bara, which was ferocious here. So perhaps they just need a year in the ground. I am confident these will grow into sturdy single stem trees, assuming I do the technical cuts and prune them so that I get left with the most vigorous single stem. It will be interesting to compare how last year's growth get on with these 3 Shantung, which are planted a couple of months earlier in the year, so they'll have the full growing season. A little bit of an add-on in terms of a farmer asked about foliage of trees for fodder for livestock. Paulownia foliage is fed to livestock. It is very high in protein, so really good fodder for grazing animals. Hope that helps. Good luck.